So recently, there was a teacher, Robert Goodman. He lives in Florida, and he was diagnosed with colon cancer in May 2018, and he used up the last of his annual sick leave to receive treatment. By July, it was all done, and Mr. Goodman was released, and he was due to return to school within 2 weeks or take unpaid leave. So he was up against the corner. So he was definitely scared and frightened, and his salvation came when his fellow teachers were able to exchange sick leave with one another, and in this case, donate it to him so that he would have 100 sick days to basically battle this dangerous form of cancer. And he's extremely grateful, and these teachers really, came out to help their friend and colleague. But let's take a step back. How come we don't have a real strong single-payer healthcare system here in the United States? It shouldn't be people sacrificing their own sick leave so that one of their colleagues doesn't have to come back or risk losing his job. I mean, what these people did was heroic, but don't put people in that scenario to where they have to do it. I mean, we have countries in Europe, Canada, Great Britain, and other first world countries that have a functioning single-payer healthcare system where their teachers don't have to do this. But yet here, the United States, a rich and powerful country that can waste money on the Joint Strike Fighter that doesn't even do its job, or we're able to give so much money to the military-industrial complex, but yet we have no money for our public schools or even have affordable health care. I mean, we never ask how come how can we afford this large military budget, but when it comes down for universal education or health care, for example, our congressmen and women are always saying, well, how are we going to get the funding for this? So I'm very happy that Robert Goodman is able to have a happy ending, but now I'm also thinking about these same teachers that donated their sick leave. What if something, God forbid, happens to them? Because we've said this time and time again, it takes one bad day here in this country to either have a dangerous accident or even get diagnosed with a dangerous ailment, and people can lose their job, their home, their car, their family, and be pushed out into the streets. So I want to open the floor up about this story. I mean, it's a wonderful story to hear about, but at the same time, too, it's depressing because it's again, this horrible mentality of, oh, you're on your own and you got to rely on donations, when in fact we have the resources available for people to get single-payer health care, but yet we have a country that refuses to take action, or a government that refuses to take action.
So every time I hear one of these stories, it just chips away more and more the idea that we're a first world country. A first world country doesn't have coworkers chipping in sick days so that you can survive cancer. This is a system where if you're given a few sick days a year, that's like, oh, you got the flu, go get better. But even for a school, to not have something in place for, I don't know, cancer to happen, where you have to rely on the generosity of your coworkers. So if this guy, I mean, he seems like a very nice guy, everyone seems to be helping him out, but if this guy wasn't, like, just to have kind of an example, well, this guy could be in hundreds of thousands of dollars in medical debt and have no job and therefore be homeless, and then cost whatever city he's in about $70,000 a year, or, of course, if he has cancer, if he doesn't get it treated, die. So that's not how a first world nation, that's not how the system of a first world nation operates. That's how the system of a lower tier nation operates. That is the system of a nation that can't afford treatment, or in the unique case of the U.S., chooses, as Kit said, to build $1.5 trillion strike fighters that can't actually be finished, to put in $1 trillion a year to the military budget. It's the same country that can do all that and then critiques candidates. I'm reminded of that discussion with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Cuomo, where she's talking about, oh, we need Medicare for all, and his answer is, well, how do you pay for it? And she says, well, why does no one talk about how do we pay for the military? Why does no one talk about all the things that we get money for at the drop of a hat? No one talks about the tax cuts. giving people money. No one talks about any of that. But when you have the audacity to say that in a first world nation, people shouldn't go bankrupt and lose their job for being sick, that's a question too far. This story represents a system that of its own design is not meant for most people. It's meant for those that can afford it. Yeah. And it's that simple.
I love that we all kind of walked away from the story with the same read of it, because it's very much presented as like, here's your feel-good story. Look at how this community came together to help this guy out when he was in a time of need. And it's like, excuse me, we shouldn't have to do that. That's excessive. Like, either Medicare for All could be a system that is put in place that maybe he could run out of those sick days and then go on unpaid leave and it not be a problem because he's not going to go bankrupt because of it. Or you have a system that accounts for the fact that humans occasionally have serious illnesses that require time.
Yeah.
You know?